Hello. I'm writing this because I just found an island in Google Maps while looking around on a street view. The first discovery of the said island is that I was going through some street views, first going from the street, bridge, into the beach. When I was on the street of the street view, but not the first one I mentioned, the island was absent, and on the beach street view, the island was present. This is weird. The island seems to be transient, but not so many information can be given about it. This story takes place in the 22nd of November, 2021. When I clicked the exit button, that is used to stop viewing a street view, or photosphere, the island is still there. Did not go missing. I went to see what name this island called, but to no avail. This island had no name labeled, and there was only two photospheres on the island, one on the shore, and the second was on the center of the island. The photosphere in the center consisted of wooden huts made using various unknown materials, which are the only signs of human inhabitation on this island, similar to these huts created at Kiribati, Palau, Fiji, Vanuatu, and Tuvalu. I wanted to visit this island so bad. The design of it looks so cool. I looked at the window and I noticed that the island is here. This was strange. The island was first found by me on a street view, and now I see it in real life in Brazil. I now found out that it is actually transient. It is still strange, but can give some people a desire to visit it, including me. I had to go to the beach, make a wooden boat, and sail all the way to this island before it gets out of its current place. When I arrived there, this is where the horrific situations happened. At the time of arriving there, I suddenly obtained a feeling of being watched by someone, making me scared for a second. After the feeling, I suddenly remember something that has not yet happened right now or in the previous days of life. The thing that I remembered was several people hooded with white cloaks, like bedsheets. I couldn't see their faces. They also have these knives. They're sharp, very sharp, as a porcupine's quill, and they're going to open me up, like a fish. All the way open. They're going to reach me, pull my parts out, show them to me, and then throw them to the floor, in an increasingly painful process. And then they will start to cut me from the toes into little pieces. Very horrific. Their purpose is to torture any inhabitants at this island. Why am I here? Why am I here? I want to go away, but my mind can't let me go. I really want rescue. Scared, I carefully proceed to explore this island by going straight to the forest, which there were many trees, like a ginormous plethora of them, that some life forms might be hiding in. There was a slope while I was going through some foliages, so I decided to go up to it. I noticed that the feeling of me being watched came back and became more intensified the closer I get to the center of this island. Please, I don't want to be caught and brutally killed. God, please protect me. I finally got to the center of the island, where the wooden huts were. There was a wooden hut that looked more like a house. I wanted to see what was in it. I entered the house for the sole purpose of seeing the figures from my remembrance. I got so scared my heartbeat sped up, and I was shaking. The figures were also using these knives that you and me already know that were so sharp as a porcupine's quill. I didn't want to say hi, hello, or any salutation to any of those figures, but run away from them as fast as I can. Before running away from them, I closed their door, and I proceeded to run away from those several killer figures. Please help. When I looked back seconds later while running, I saw the figures were going after me. Oh God. They were also visibly increasing in speed. I ran away from this island, from the shore of this island to the sea. Since I saw that my boat disappeared for no reason, I had to swim away from the island without a boat or any transport device. before the figures could reach me. However, the figures were able to swim, and they reached me. Oh God. Now they were dragging me back towards the island into their house, where they will torture me. However, I was able to get out of their living room and went to their bedroom, where their keys were at. I used their keys to lock their door. I was so lucky, but I saw some mangled corpses on their wall. However, it was just a visual hallucination. I escaped using the window and ran away from the house again as fast as I could. There was another person in the island that I saw. He was friendly and had a boat. I went to his boat and we sailed away from the island as fast as we could. We successfully left the island. The feeling of me being watched ended, and I went back to my home. What a horrific adventure I had. At the time of getting in my house, I was bored, so I decided to read the Bible. However, when I went to bed, I dreamed of me being in the island at night, tied up in knots. I couldn't even get out from my trap. After 10 seconds of struggling of getting out, the figures I saw on the island emerged from the foliage, removed me from the trap, and dragged me to their house. I screamed for help. What a horrific nightmare. Worst dream I ever had of 2021. If you ever see this island, be careful. Do not go to it, unless you are careful. And that was a Transient Island, written by XxIsSooCool. What? Review time, I guess? So, let me get this. Okay, so this is an island that a guy found on Google Maps. It was absent on the street of the street view, but on the beach street view it was present. Okay, that's mysterious, weird. But then he has all the time in the world to build a boat and row there. Like, I like how there's like little wooden huts there, showing that like it's inhabited by certain people. It makes you really want to investigate. Like, it's probably a tribe. Like, as mentioned from the guys in the white cloaks. Here's where it gets really confusing, though. So, he arrived there. He's like, I suddenly obtained the feeling of being watched by someone. I suddenly remember something that has not yet happened right now or in the previous days of life. The thing that I remembered was several hooded people with white cloaks. Their knives were sharp as a porcupine's quill. So, if he's just fine in the ending, and if he vows not to go back, then why does he have this vision to begin with? It doesn't exactly connect to his dream, because in his dream they drag him away from somewhere and bring them into a house. And here they tie him up and they cut him up and pull off his toes and like his body parts. It doesn't add up. It doesn't add up to the ending. It doesn't add up to certain parts of this story. Not to mention, certain things are written very awkwardly. Such as this part of the paragraph. Please, period, I don't, period, want, period, to, period, be, period, caught, period, and period, brutally. Don't do that. Not only is that one of the instances of awkward writing, but there's a lot of repetition. There's a lot of repeating what just happened throughout paragraphs. I think it's an interesting idea, finding a transient island, as the title says, on Google Maps. That could be handled fairly well. And, like, the protagonist could take his time doing things. But, like, this comes across as more confusing than anything. Not only because of all the repetition, but because of all the events that, like, are made out to make sense, but don't make sense at all. And then there's mangled corpses on the wall, but it's a hallucination. It's not important. Not important to the story. Moving on, it's just a hallucination. I don't know, man. This could have been this could have been so much better. I like I thought it was quite promising from the beginning, and then it just delved into this territory. So my final rating is a 3.5. I'm sorry, author. I wanted to like this, but reading through it, I ended up getting lost halfway through. I couldn't understand much of what was happening after the first half, but I respect you for trying to make something competently written, and I have faith that you can write something much more interesting than this. But as always, this is simply my personal opinion, and like, we all have our opinions regarding these creepy pastas. What did you think of the pasta? What would you have done to improve upon it if you were the writer? And as always, I will see you all in the next narration. I love you all. Bless.